Greetings everyone, welcome back to another video. So as you know, I got my new camera, the Canon EOS R, and I wanted to make a video about getting this camera, but I didn't want to do a video on the EOS R as a review or what I think of the quality or any of the quality tests. I just feel like there's so many videos out there that are exactly like that. So I thought I'd make a video that can appeal to a wider range of anyone that is purchasing a professional camera or getting into a new camera, and what the process is like when you open it out of the box. Because especially if it's your first camera, I feel like it can be a little intimidating. You have this piece of technology, there's tons of settings with it, there's tons of things that you can do with it, and it's almost so overwhelming and there's so many options, you just don't really know where to start. So I thought I'd go through my process of what I did when I first opened this camera and some of the first steps I took. Okay, you've opened the box, you've put it together, lens is on, you hit the on button, what do you do next? Well, my first thing that I did was I jumped on YouTube and I just watched the Canon video on the EOS R, which goes over every single general thing about the camera, where the buttons are, where to find certain things, where to put the SD card, where to put the battery, all these things that are super general and you probably already know, but it's good to go through this refresher of just getting your bearings and the lay of the land of this camera right off the bat. After that, I wanted to fine tune my settings. I wanted to make sure that this camera was going to appeal to what I needed it to do, which is mostly video oriented. But when it comes to these professional cameras, Canon, Sony, what have you, there's normally settings separately for video and for photo. So I started to fine tune my video settings first. So what I did is I went back on YouTube, of course, and I found someone that I trusted and that was using the camera for the same types of things I was using it. So I pretty much just watched how he set his camera up, and I didn't follow him exactly because there were certain settings that I didn't agree with, but it was a nice general overview going one by one through the settings and changing it to your liking. Those settings menus can just be full of all these different little tweaks and things, and a lot of them you don't even have to pay attention to. So it was nice to have a guide to tell me that I can skip a setting or I don't need to worry about anything, because sometimes you can look at these settings and be like, do I need to adjust that, or is it fine the way it is? And a lot of the settings with this camera right out of the box, with a lot of cameras, are just ready to go, but some are more difficult to use than others. So it's good to watch these tutorials and it's good to go through it over and over and over again, especially when you want to find simple things like white balance adjustment or even to format your SD card in your camera. Sometimes those buttons are a little bit harder to find. So it's nice to go over just an overall guide of your settings and adjust them to your liking. The second thing that I did was I made sure that my firmware was updated. And this is something you might not have to worry about when opening your camera, but you never really know. It's good to look into it, especially with, a higher end camera. You want it to be updated to the latest features, and you want it to be as fast as it possibly can be, just like you do with your phone or with your computer. Make sure, do a little research and make sure your camera is in top-notch working condition right out of the box. All right, so your settings are adjusted, your firmware is updated. Now it's time to go shoot. It's time to go take photos and videos with your brand new camera. And once again, you can be like, what do I shoot? And my answer to this is everything. Shoot absolutely everything, and shoot around your house. You're not going to be using any of this footage. And that's some of the pressures that I put on myself, where I'm like, I have to shoot something amazing. I have to make sure it looks its best. No, you don't with these test shots. Just go out, shoot whatever. Shoot your cat, shoot an object of any kind whatsoever. Put a hairbrush out and try to shoot that, and just get adjusted to the camera, the feel of it. And everything you shoot might not look great, but still, it's good. It's good to test, it's good to use the equipment and use it often. Luckily for me, my buddy also got a brand new camera. He got a Sony camera, I got a Canon. So this is a great opportunity for him and I to just go out, get some test shots, get some photos, and actually compare the two cameras when it comes to frame rates and slow motion and even just image quality in general, especially with the 4K. So it's always nice to just find somebody to shoot with. To piggyback off this topic, what I've been doing since I've gotten this camera is I'm trying to use it every day, like it's a language. If I'm consistently learning this camera, I'm consistently using it, it becomes second nature to me. And that's what I need, especially when I'm starting to use this for professional jobs and work like that. I don't want to be on set wondering where these buttons are or stalling the whole process because I'm still getting used to the camera. The whole point is to master this thing as much as you can. So in a professional setting, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You just look like a pro right off the bat when you get to set. So once I got used to testing the camera, the feel of it, and how I wanted to work with it, I started doing a more detailed test, and that was with the quality. I started to test out the 4K capabilities next to the HD capabilities, next to different frame rates, and just what looks best and what I think is worthwhile, because the 1080 HD in this camera is awesome. It looks really, really great. And I knew 4K was gonna be better quality. There is a little bit of a crop on this camera as well, so I wanted to adjust for that, and I wanted to just get similar shots. So I just set up, had some depth of field, some color in there as well, so I could test the colors on it also. And then I just put them side by side in my editing program of what do I think actually looks better and what actually is necessary. Do I have to shoot 4K? Is there that big of a difference? In this case, there wasn't that big of a difference, and the file size is humongous. So this was a great test. So when I'm shooting professional work, I'll probably use 4K and I'll probably shoot in the C-Log as well, so I have more color grading capabilities. But when I'm doing vlogs and things like this, I can shoot standard HD and it still looks wonderful, and it's easier to work with in the editing program. The next great test you can do with your new camera is low light capabilities. Pushing that ISO as far as you can take it, and even if it looks like crap in the camera, now you know how far you can take that ISO until you start getting that graininess to it. And modern cameras these days, just newer cameras, you can push the ISO pretty far and still get a pretty fair quality image out of it as well. And even though there's lots of tests of this also online and on YouTube of people just showing you how far you can push it, it's still good for you to do it yourself. Once again, back in that professional setting, you want to know what ISO is going to work out with this camera in different settings. So turn off all the lights, maybe light a candle or two, and just shoot yourself in that low light and push that ISO and just see how it looks to you. Now you all know my relationship to photography and how I shoot, how often I do, and that I just do it mostly for fun. Some hired work here and there for photography, but I'm still learning. But with this camera, it's opened up a new world of photography. This is one of the best photo cameras I've ever seen. Not only owned, but ever seen. So now I'm having a ton of fun shooting photos on this powerful, powerful camera. Once again, doing a lot of those test shots of pushing the ISO and the low light capabilities. I've been having a blast with taking photos with this camera, and I really think it's gonna up my game professionally when it comes to photos as well. So I'm excited to continue to explore that and maybe move into a new area of my career when it comes to photos. All right, so you shot all this video, you shot all these photos. Now it's time to throw them in the editing program and just mess around in there as well. Once again, take your time. See what the color grading looks like on this. See what different quality works out for you. If you like the 4K better than the HD, or whatever you want to do with it in the editing program, now's your time, because it'll help your workflow later on when you're editing and you know how to work with this footage. Also, the size of these files as well could be different than your last camera, so there might be some slowdown. You really learn a lot in the editing process when it comes to your camera and when it comes to the video quality and just seeing it on the big screen, putting some color grades on there, maybe throwing some slow motion or some warp stabilizer. All these things are things that are nice to test out off the bat. Experiment, have fun with it, and know that there's no judgment whatsoever. It's just for your own knowledge. Everyone knows, knowledge is power. And my last piece of advice is a generic one, and that is have fun with your new camera. Take some time to just admire all the capabilities you have in your hands. These cameras are tools to further our careers and to further our creativity as well. Any camera will do when it comes to storytelling, but once you get a new one, it's that feeling of just a different look. Just make sure you're taking your time, you're having fun, and you're just getting acclimated with it at your own pace. Nobody buys a guitar, picks it up, and all of a sudden they're a rock star. It takes time to practice these things, so no pressure on yourself. Just have some fun with your new camera. All right, guys, so that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed this sort of simplistic little rap session we had where I'm just talking to you guys about tech and about cameras and processes. I feel like I haven't made a video on cameras or lights in a while, so I plan on doing a little bit more of that in the future. And if you guys like what you see here, please leave all your comments down below. And if you really like it, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button, because I really appreciate all the support. So thanks again, and I will see you in the near future.